Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. Last but not the least are students of Tulip, Nigerian Tulip International Colleges, Girls Section, Abuja. They're standing. Round of applause for them. Thank you for coming. Kindly take your seats. As we're about to we're about to enter into legislative business, and there's none on the minority seat. So I can't see members of the minority party. Okay, Honorable Ezekiel. Okay. I think we're properly constituted now for legislative business. The honorable colleagues, I have with me now a letter of apology written by Honorable Abdul Mumini Jurin, PhD. And he has written in his own words, in compliance with the House resolution of 25th September 2016, suspending me from plenaries for 180 legislative days, and notice of my intention to resume legislative duties. So with this letter of apology, it appears that he has fulfilled all the requirements of the 180 days has lapsed. And the resolution equally said that he should tender a written apology, which he has done. So by this, he has fulfilled all the requirements of the resolution, and that he can accept another thing happen or decision is taken. It will appear that he has fulfilled with the conditions stipulated by the House, and he is free to resume legislative duties as from now, if he so wishes. Communication from Mr. President. Presidential decision to decline assent to the Electoral Amendment Bill 2018. Pursuant to Section 58, subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended, I hereby convey to the House of Representatives my decision on 3rd March 2018 to decline. His decision on 3rd March 2018 to decline presidential assent to the Electoral Amendment Bill 2018 recently passed by the National Assembly. Some of my reasons for withholding assent to the bill include the following: amendment to the sequence of the elections in Section 25 of the Principal Act may infringe upon the constitutionally guaranteed discretion of the Independent National Electoral Commission to organize, undertake, and supervise all elections provided in Section 15A of the 3rd Schedule to the Constitution. Amendment to Section 138 of the Principal Act to delete 2 crucial grounds upon which an election may be challenged by the candidates and duly limits the rights of candidates in the election to a free and fair electoral review process. And C, the amendments to Section 152, subsection 3 to 5 of the Principal Act may raise constitutional issues over the competence of the National Assembly to legislate over local government elections. Please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable members, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, President Muhammadu Buhari. Honorable colleagues, any member has a petition to present may please rise to do so. Honorable Chika.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, I remain Abubakar Chika Adamu. I represent Shuloro Rafimaya Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Niger State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, my petition is from one Emmanuel S. Odubemi. The petition center against, or the petition is against Bicottony Aviation Service on the issue of tax evasion. So, Mr. Speaker, I so submit so that I should not preempt probably what will come out of the findings of the Public Petition Committee. This, as I said earlier, is centered on tax evasion by Bicottony Aviation Service. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Please proceed and lay the petition. Any more petitions? Petition referred to Committee on Public Petitions. We have a number of points of orders here relating to emergencies in some section of the country. But first of all, I recognize Honorable DC Hosea.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, for yielding the floor to me. I am Honorable DC Hosea. I represent the people of Gashaka, Kurmi, Sadana Federal Constituency. I'm from Taraba State, the nature's gift to the nation. I'm rising under Order 8 Rule 4 and Order 8 Rule 7 to raise an urgent motion of public importance that reach those urgent need to provide relief materials for IDP camps in Sadona and Gashaka local government areas, victims of herdsmen attack, and the need to establish units of mobile police stations in Gembu, Sadona local government, and Abon in Kumi local government of Taraba State. I so move.
Who is seated close to Honorable DC Hosea? Okay. Can you second, please?
Honorable Speaker, I'm Honorable Philip A. Mutua, member representing the Shelang Federal Constituency. I rise to second the first reading of the motion, heavily moved by my honorable friend. Thank you, sir.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Seconded to the second limb, Honorable Tumba. You have been missing in action for quite a long time.
My honorable colleagues, Otumba Abayomi Ayola Kabir is my name. I am from Lagos State, representing the Bejuleki Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion as heavily moved by my colleagues. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Hosea, you can now move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, for the privilege to move a motion on the need to provide relief materials for IDP camps in Sadona and Gashaka local government areas, victims of herdsmen attack, and the need to establish units of mobile police stations in Gibu, Sadona local government area, and Abon in Kumi local government area, all in Taraba State. I is aware of the repeated clashes between herdsmen and the inhabitants of Mambila Plateau that has led to destruction of both human lives and properties. Also aware that there was clash in June 2017, which attracted the attention of the federal government to the area led by the Interior Affairs Minister. Worried that after the visit to the area, worried that after the visit, the area remained hostile, even as the state governor had earlier warned of imminent border attack. Disturbed that despite the alarm raised by the Taraba state governor and the subsequent visit of Mr. President, peace has not fully returned to the area. It is further disturbing to note that the people of Mabila and other tribes, including Fulanis, had coexisted peacefully in the past until the peace hitherto been enjoyed was threatened through external aggression. In the same vein, such cases are being reported in Kurmi local government area of Taraba State. It is worrisome that these local government areas share common international boundary with the Republic of Cameroon. The current porous nature of our international border with inadequate security personnel has made it easier for the invading foreign nationals who only come to the area for dry season pasturing invasion to penetrate easily. These clashes has rendered many homeless and are being camped in unconducive environments in Gashaka town, Nguroje, Gembu and other towns in Sadona, who are left with nothing to feed and to cater for their daily needs. Aware that the rainy season has already set in, people are exposed to a lot of hardship. Concerned that with the rainfall already being experienced in the area, people cannot go about their normal farming activities as they are being attacked and killed by the invading herdsmen. The House resolved that NEMA be directed to provide the people with relief material to bring succor to the people. 2. Mandate the Inspector General of Police to establish mobile police stations in Gembu and Abon towns to curtail early symptoms and signs of imminent crisis within the area in view of difficult terrain of the area. Ensure a workable and lasting peace solution is provided for the people. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? Honorable Nur Sharif.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Mohammed Nur Sharif, representing Bama Galakala Balga Federal Constituency from Borno State. I rise to second the motion ably moved by the honorable colleague. I so move. Thank you.
Honorable Wasaya, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleague. I don't think I need to belabor this issue that is well known to all Nigerians. We know the current issues in Mabila Plateau. As we are even talking right now, my people are meeting to fashion out how they can coexist with one another. The peace of the area has been threatened as a result of the porous nature of our borders, the border with the Cameroon border. There are no adequate security personnel at the border that will man this border. That is why the invading herdsmen often take the advantage of these porous borders and come through Cameroon border to instigate people or to launch attack in our area. Indeed, the area is actually facing a lot of difficulties and people have been exposed to a lot of hardship, and therefore crave their indulgence that relief material be sent to these people. And also, there is need also for the IG to establish a mobile police station in the area because of the terrain of the area. This is an area that is so mountainous. It is not easy to move within these areas. Moving somebody from the upland to the mountainous area will be very, very difficult. But stationing mobile police within the environment they will be able to study the terrain very well and get acclimatized to the environment. And should there be any rumors of crisis, they'll be able to move in immediately to arrest the situation before allowing the situation to escalate. And therefore plead with our colleague to allow this motion to get through and instruct the NEMA to provide urgent relief material for these people. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
So, honorable colleagues, a very simple motion. I'll put a question. We'll only have two more like this. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Next point of order is from Honorable Maren. Honorable Solomon Maren.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My dear colleagues, Engineer Solomon Bulus Maren is my name, and I represent the very good people of Mangu Bokos Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, with me is a motion of urgent public importance that is co-sponsored with me and 4 others on the urgent need to arrest the wanton incessant killings and attacks that have been going on in Dapot district of Bokos local government area since last week Thursday. On this, I'm resting on order 8, 4 and 7 to ask that, Mr. Speaker, we take this motion as urgent, and also order 8, 7 to ask that all the relevant rules be suspended so that we'll be able to take this motion. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Second and first limb of the motion, the matter be considered urgent. Honorable Michael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Taiwo Michael Akintola. I represent the people of Egbeda on our federal constituency. I'm from Oyo State. I rise to second the motion that the Honorable Marian has just raised be taken as urgent. I so second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Second limb of the motion, Honorable John Bull Shekara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. John Bull Shekara is my name. I am from Plateau State. I represent the camp by Shandam. Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleague, I rise to second the second leg of the motion, moved by Honorable Barrister Solomon Maren. I hereby second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Maren, please move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues. Once again, Engineer Solomon Maren is my name, and I represent the good people of Mangu Bokos Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I'm from Plateau State. The House notes the wanton killing and attacks by suspected herdsmen on innocent citizens of Dafo District, Bokos local government area of Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, it was in this area that the paramount ruler and the first-class traditional ruler, the oldest in Plateau State, that's of Lazarus Agai, was gruesomely murdered alongside 3 others. Unfortunately, no single arrest has been made hitherto, despite the heavy presence of Operation Safe Haven in the state. The House also notes that in January 2018, no fewer than 4 persons were brutally killed and several others injured, and properties worth millions of naira destroyed, leaving hundreds of people displaced. Again, note that on the 7th and the 8th of March 2018, just at the heels of the President's visit to Plateau State, another gruesome attack was unleashed on the law-abiding citizens of Dafo District, which led to the total destruction of 5 villages, namely Josho, Ngakundung, Ganda, Hotom, Warren, and Mbok. About 50 persons have so far lost their lives. Several others were injured, and over 10,000 people displaced. Informed that in all this, there has been little or no deliberate measures taken to either stop further attacks or bring the perpetrators of these mayhems to book. Concerned that attacks on innocent citizens has remained a recurrent decimal. Regrettably, this has been treated with kid gloves by the authorities concerned. The continuous proliferation of arms and ammunition in the hands of unscrupulous citizens is alarming, thus posing a serious threat to the security of lives and properties. Also concerned that the wanton destruction of innocent lives and properties as perpetrated across the nation is barbaric, inhuman, disgusting, and unacceptable. Worried that if such heinous acts are allowed unabated, it may escalate and could lead to total collapse of peace and security in the area and in the state at general. Mr. Speaker, I urge that the House do resolve to urge the federal government to direct all relevant security agencies to deploy men to the area to forestall further breakdown of law and order. 2. Direct the National Emergency Management Agency to provide relief materials to the internally displaced persons and rebuild the affected communities with immediate effect. 3. Constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate the matter and report back to the House within 2 weeks for further legislative input. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Seconder. Any seconder? Honorable UK.
Thank you, my Speaker. Honorable colleagues, my name is Alfredo Ikenga. I represent Agbata Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. I stand to second the motion as moved by my colleague. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Marin, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues. Once more, Engineer Solomon Marin is my name, and I represent the good people of Mangubo Federal Constituency. I am from Plateau State. Mr. Speaker, attacks of this nature have been recurrent and have been on in almost every part of this country. Mr. Speaker, as people in government, our basic responsibility in government is to secure our people and of course provide them with necessities of life. And where in a country where the economy downturn has gone really down and the people are already suffering and trying just to survive. And now even the security that is in the hands of government, we cannot even control to protect the lives of these people. Mr. Speaker, these attacks are taking place in Joshua, in Darfur area. This is the second time this year. First, it happened in January. Now, again, at the heels of the president attack, another major attack was taking place while the president was in Plateau. Mr. Speaker, that killing from Thursday last week, the crises are still going on even right now in the communities. That more communities are being taken over and destroyed. And they are not just destroying and burning down houses and killing people, they are also destroying even foodstuff that has been stored. And today these people are without food, they are without clothes, they are roaming around without shelter. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, with the numerous crises that have taken place or attacks in Plateau State, in Bokos local government to be specific, there is no time that NEMA has ever intervened to provide relief materials to the affected persons. These people are left to still come back and pick their pieces and then continue life again. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues to kindly support this motion so that at least, Mr. Speaker, an investigation is carried out which will reveal all the issues that have happened before now and to forestall future occurrences. That an investigation is also carried out to also allow the people to say out their mind so that they can live together in peace once again. Mr. Speaker, I want to also urge my colleagues to support this motion so that we can have some relief material sent to these people with immediate effect. Because right now, children and women, some of them are dying, some are in the hospitals because they have no water, no food to eat. For the last 1 week, they have been moving around and scrambling for what to eat. Mr. Speaker, I hope that NEMA and indeed this House will resolve that such items are provided with immediate effect. I want to appreciate the Speaker for this time and thank you, my colleagues, for this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Shaka.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Ibrahim Ayokule Isiaka is my name. I represent the very good people of Ifo, Iwikoro Federal Constituency. I'm from Ogun State, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleague, I rise to second the motion ably moved by Honorable Solomon on this very humanitarian ground. I so second, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, sir.
So I put the question, honorable colleagues, those in, no, there's a proposed amendment.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I'm OK Jeff and I represent the good people of Buruku from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to propose an amendment on the third prayer to constitute another committee to investigate the matter and report back to the House within 2 weeks for further legislative action. Let me remind us that there are 2 committees of the House. One, I think, headed by the DS, the other headed by the Chief Whip, a Deputy Chief Whip, Honorable Riase, over the same thing. So I propose an amendment that we, when it comes to the third prayer, we delete this and refer the matter to any of these committees, either the Riase committee or the DS committee.
So which committee are you proposing will refer the matter to, so they will be carried in the body of the motion?
I propose that we delete prayer number 3 and in its place to refer the matter to an already established ad hoc committee of the House headed by Honorable Pali Irias. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I so.
Any seconder? Seconder to the proposed Honorable Samson Oku.
Right Honorable Speaker, Honorable colleagues, my name is Honorable Samson Oku. I rise the second, the amendment moved by House Committee Chairman on Rules and Business. So second.
So I hope you know the implication of speaking from that chair. You have become an APC member. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Those in favor of the motion as amended say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Chairman, Rules and Business, there's another case of emergency, so you move for the suspension of our rules to enable us take a third point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. OK Jeff, I represent the good people of Buruku from Benue State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that we suspend the provisions of Order 8, particularly Rules 3 and 4, to allow the House to take more matters of urgent public importance. I so move.
Seconder. Any seconder? Honorable Pategi.
Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, I rise to second the motion as moved by Honorable Kajir. I so second.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Mahmoud Maina, you can now move your point of order.
Right, Honorable Speaker, my respected colleagues, my matter of urgent public importance pursuant to Order 8 Rule 46, Presiding Order of the House of Representatives, is urgent need to provide shelter and relief material to victims of bomb blasts and multiple fire disaster in Kondiga, Mafa, and Jikwa Federal Constituency of Borno State. I so move.
Honorable Nasir Babaleila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Nasir Babaleila. I'm representing Taroni Federal Constituency. I hereby second the motion as moved by my neighbor, Honorable Maina. Thank you.
Those in favor of the motion that the matter be considered urgent, say aye. Those against it, say nay. Ayes have it. Second limb of the motion that the matter be taken today. Honorable Maran.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Engineer Solomon Maran is my name, and I represent the good people of Mango Bokos and from Plateau State. I rise to second the second leg of the motion that the matter is that we should suspend the relevant rules so that we can take the matter. I so second, Mr. Speaker.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Honorable Maina, you can now move your motion.
Right, Honorable Speaker, my motion is urgent need to provide shelter and relief material to victims of bomb blasts and multiple fire disaster in Jikwa, Mafa, Kondiga, Federal Constituency of Borno State. The House knows that Jikwa, Mafa, Kondiga, Federal Constituency is among the hardest hit areas by the Boko Haram insurgency in Borno State. And by this, whole population of these areas are affected by a resultant effect. Recall that there was bomb blast at the fish market in Kondiga town on 23rd February, where about 20 people lost their lives, while about 40 others sustained various degrees of injuries. There was also a fire outbreak in IDP's Camp B in Government Girls Secondary School, Mafa, on Tuesday, 6 March, where about 400 households were razed down by the fire. Though no life was lost, the habitations and all belongings were burned. There was also another fire incident in Yahweh settlement in Daruri of Kondiga government on Saturday, 10 March, where the war settlement was razed down. Concerned that almost all the victims of the bomb blast are the breadwinners of their respective families, and as such, they are now incapacitated. While the fire victims are IDPs that were hitherto in a clear situation of need. And with these incidents, these facilities in the camp are inadequate and overstretched for the sustenance of inhabitants. And for those in Yauri, it is complete loss of property. Worried that all the victims of these unfortunate incidents are at risk of hunger and malnutrition, and lack of shelter for the victims of the fire incidents. Therefore, there is the urgent need for the federal government to provide shelter and relief materials for all the victims of these unfortunate incidents. Resolved, urge the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, PCNI, and the National Emergency Agency, NEMA, to urgently provide shelter and adequate supply of relief materials and other consumables to cater for the needs of all these traumatized people. Mandate the relevant House Committee to liaise with these agencies and ensure compliance in the providing of these items. I so move.
Honorable Mwazu.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. My name is Honorable Mahdi Lawal. I represent Bumu Federal Constituency and from Zamfara State. I rise to second the motion moved by Honorable Lawan. I so second. Thank you.
So I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. First order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on the general principles of a bill for an act to amend the Tertiary Education Trust Fund Act 2011 to provide for additional conditions for assessing of funds for capital projects by beneficiary institutions to embark on their own capital projects instead of relying solely on the Fund for Capital Development, to review some provisions to give the National Assembly certain powers under the Act and subject the annual budget of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund to approval of the National Assembly on related matters standing in the name of Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, Honorable Mohammed Sani Abdu, and Honorable Oki Chinda. Honorable members who recall the bills were consolidated on Tuesday, 6 March 2018, and I invite Honorable Abbas Tajuddin to move that the bill be now read a second time. Incidentally, it appears none of them is around.
Mr. Speaker, none of them is available. But I think there's a mix-up. What MS told me is that our committee gave them Thursday as the date the bill will come on the floor. So mistakenly, there's a mix-up. So we take responsibility for that inability to come to be around. One of them is. So I move that we will step down item number 1 on the order paper.
Item number 1 on the order paper, step down by leave of the House. Second order of the day, honorable colleagues, commencement of debate on the general principles of bill for an act to establish the Fisheries Research Institute of Nigeria, NGO, NGO, for fisheries research, education and cooperative training in Nigeria and related matters, standing in the name of Honorable Abiente Awaji Legomi. Honorable members who recall the bill was read the first time on Thursday, 1st February 2018. Now I invite Honorable Abiente to move the bill be now read the second time.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, my distinguished colleagues. I remain Awaji Nombek Dagomie Abiante. I represent Anthony Opobo, Nkoro Federal Constituency of Rivers State. Mr. Speaker and my colleagues, I rise to move that the bill for the establishment of Fisheries Research Institute of Nigeria, NGO, for fisheries research, education and cooperative training in Nigeria and for related matters be read a second time, Mr. Speaker.
Seconder, Honorable Muazu Hassan.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, my name is Honorable Ismail Muazu Hassan, member representing Akwa Federal Constituency from Gombe State. I rise to second motion moved by Honorable Abiante.
Honorable Abiante, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and my distinguished colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my colleagues, this is a very harmless bill, but it's a very, very important bill at this time, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is on record, and it has been widely reported that Nigeria spends about $700 million annually, 700 million naira annually on fish imports. Mr. Speaker, this amount, if converted to naira, is about 252 billion naira, Mr. Speaker. Let us consider what this amount can do in infrastructural development for our dear country. Mr. Speaker, we are importing this fish because we have not been able to add value. We are importing this fish because we have not been able to harness the opportunities that are bound. We have a coastline of 853 kilometers, Mr. Speaker, down to the Atlantic Ocean, Mr. Speaker. What have we done with this resource? We have in abundance. It is reported that there are about 32,000 species of fishes in the Atlantic Ocean alone. Mr. Speaker, there are countries that have been able to harness these opportunities that they have. Countries like Norway, they have harnessed this opportunity, and today, the export of fish alone, caught fish, referred to as stockfish, gives them over 10 billion US dollars annually, Mr. Speaker. Country like Morocco that exports sardine earns so much, Mr. Speaker. We buy sardine in this country, and I understand from those who have the luxury of affording it that it contains only one piece now for 250 naira, Mr. Speaker. 250 naira worth of sardine in the fishing port where we come from. Fishing port of Agbama, Oirokoto, Lokwile, will be a basket full of sardine. But we buy this for 250 naira per piece of sardine because we have not been able to add value to what we have. Mr. Speaker, we are not even looking at other aspects of fish. We have not talked about the prawns, the crustaceans, the mollusks, the bivalves. We have not looked at all of this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when this institute is established, it will effectively harness the opportunities. It will effectively develop value. It will increase the value. Presently, as we speak, the marine environment, the brackish water and the saltwater environment don't have anything that can sustain it. It is so challenged with both maritime navigation and the oil exploration and other activities, Mr. Speaker. There is a very frightening need for us to consciously work out ways and means to sustain that environment and allow it to thrive, and at the same time getting value for whatever it is that we can get from there. Mr. Speaker, from the mouth of the Escravos rivers to Calabar River is reported to have abundance of crayfish, and all of us here know what crayfish is. We have used them and will continue to use them. Mr. Speaker, in this time, the only thing that is closest to what we are asking for is defined as the Freshwater Fisheries Research Institute in New Busa. Yes, Freshwater Fisheries Research Institute in New Busa. Mr. Speaker, the environments are not the same. The temperature of the water is not the same. The pH is not the same. And therefore, the species of fishes that thrive in the freshwater don't thrive in the seawater. They don't thrive in the brackish water. So it is necessary for us to conscientiously give back to these people whose only occupation has been fishing all their life. We have destroyed the economy. If we have to do research, we can endeavor to preserve whatever is left in that environment. Mr. Speaker, I urge my colleagues to give back to the artisanal fishermen along the coastline this little opportunity, this little investment that will change and turn around the fortunes of this country. Yes, when it starts at inception, it might cost us a little more. It might cost Nigeria a little more. But let us look at the benefits that we can get. If what we have, if at all, has been effective and functional, Nigeria will not be spending $700 million annually for fish import. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge you and my other colleagues to support this bill, borrowing from my brother with the speed of light. I so submit.
Any contributor to the debate? Honorable Acting Minority Leader Frederick.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. Agbedi Yejemine Frederick is my name. I represent Agbama Ikirimo Federal Constituency. Izonkeme, I am from Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to support this bill in its entirety because it is a bill that is going to open up Nigeria's revenue earnings in the ocean area, particularly the saline concentrated water, where you have a larger quantum of species of fishes, where you have fishes that has better nourishment, better taste, and of course has propensity for a longer preservation. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, if I may quote my governor, Right Honorable Ernest Serake Dixon, he keeps saying that the best kept secret of Bayelsa and the Niger Delta and the ocean area is in the ocean. So much wealth resides in the ocean. But I think our problem is that we as a nation have not really tapped into the importance, the essentials of the ocean area. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, if we pass this bill for a second reading, and if eventually it is passed to law, Nigeria would have opened another huge channel of revenue where we are going to make revenue from the aquatic sector, particularly the ocean area. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, this institute will open our knowledge and minds to the essentials of the ocean area in terms of the kind of fishes, in terms of the kind of in terms of kind of revenue that will be derived from the ocean sector. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I rise to support this bill in its entirety, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill. I so support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Engineer Farouk, and then we'll move to this role last.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Honorable Engineer Abdullah Omar Farouk, representing the good people of Birning Kebbi, Kalgobuza Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I heard the mover of the bill, in fact, saying it's a harmless bill. To me, it's much more than that, Mr. Speaker. It is also a productive bill. And that is why I support it in its entirety. Mr. Speaker, if you heard what he has said about the capital flight because of our consumption on the fish, Mr. Speaker, I believe this country, we have the traditional expertise that if now galvanized through experts, and then we go the modern way of fish farming, Mr. Speaker, we will not only take care of our own consumption, but we will also be exporting fish to other countries. Mr. Speaker, I know from the area I come from the area and also Kalgo area, most of our people found themselves down to northeast just to export their skills in fish farming. Mr. Speaker, if they have sufficient way of producing fish through modern technology, I am very sure they will not be going there. So you see, also the issue of security comes in. The issue of they being considered settlers elsewhere will not even come around. So this thing, apart from economically giving us a new way of conserving our own foreign reserve, we are also going to develop our own capacity in food production and then maybe exporting it to other countries. Mr. Speaker, this is a need to do bill, and I support it. Thank you.
Honorable Ken Chikere.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Ken Chikere. I represent the Port Harcourt Federal Constituency 1. Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support the second reading of this bill, predicated on the belief that no system grows without research and development. Now, if we apply research and development to the principal points of our economy, we would grow, we would develop, we would move from dependence on oil to dependence on other sectors, agriculture, fisheries, etc., etc. It is upon this premise that I think that, based on what has been said, as to the amount of money we spend on importation of fish, even the sardine we eat, we are not exactly sure of what goes in and what goes out of it. But if we have our own fisheries research institute, we would be able, given the amount of waters we have, given the amount of resources we have from the seas, we were able to research, we were able to develop. It will bring quite a lot to us. It will reduce our revenue, the money we spend on importation, it would employ our people. It is upon this premise that I think that a research institute for fisheries is necessary, especially in the water areas of our country. So I support that we give a second reading to this bill so that it would give us an opportunity to have an institute that would bring all these benefits we have enumerated here. That is, so I urge our colleagues, all our colleagues here, to support the second reading of this bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Babale.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm from Kano State. My name is Babale Bashir. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill based on its intent, because I think in Nigeria today we are focusing toward diversifying our economy, and I quite believe having this institute will help a lot in one, developing, generating employment; second, food security; and thirdly, even addressing restiveness in Niger Delta. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, in supporting this bill, we need to appreciate the fact that the issue of establishing research institute on fisheries will go a long way in creating job opportunities for Nigerians. And I quite believe, Mr. Speaker, there are countries which solely depend, their economy solely depend on fisheries. And Nigeria, if we can extract that potentials of fisheries alone, I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, the potentials of our fisheries alone, Mr. Speaker, I am sure it will generate a lot of resources to Nigeria, to our income. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I support this bill in toto, and I urge my colleagues to support it so that we will have this institute of fisheries in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Last contributor will be Dr. M.S. Abdu. Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remember Mohammed Sani Abdu, Al-Kalirikiri Federal Constituency. I'm from Bauchi State. Sir, I stand to lend my voice also to the second reading of this bill, because we are in an era of diversification of our economy. And fisheries is one of the arms of agriculture. So if we can have the rice revolution, we can also have the fish revolution. And fish and fisheries, they are some of the best nutrients that we can have, that they are clean. Most people who cannot eat red meat are recommended to eat fish and other fish derivatives. And only yesterday I was reading in a magazine that we have about 126 different types of fishes, both in freshwater fish, saltwater fish, and all other kind of amphibious lives like periwinkles and others. Without research, we cannot be able to harness this. And I think it's only right that this is a research center which will encourage us to have deeper knowledge for further investment, diversification, Because it is only located in one place does not mean it cannot go to Lake Chad and do research. It can go to Lake Chad. It can go to Goronyo in Sokoto State to research. It can come to Lokoja to research and try to harness the way. And it will also enhance our medium and small scale investment in fisheries. So I stand to really support this bill for second reading. I also lend my voice, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
So I'll put the question. The question is the bill be now read the second time. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Black is invited to read the long title of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, a bill for an act to establish the Fisheries Research Institute of Nigeria for fisheries research, education and cooperative training in Nigeria and for related matters. Second reading.
The bill is referred to Committee on Agricultural Colleges and Institutions. Third order of the day is a motion calling on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide relief materials to Bassa, Komo, and Ibra people of Bassa local government area of Kogi State. Standing in the name of Honorable Benjamin Ekani Okolo, Honorable Okolo is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Respected colleagues, Okolo Ikani Benjamin, representing the highly esteemed people of the Kina-Bassa Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, respected colleagues, I'm from Kogi State. My motion is on a call on the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide relief materials to Bassa Komu and the people of Bassa local government area of Kogi State. The House notes that the Bassa Komu and the speaking people of Bassa local government area of Kogi State have lived peacefully for generations across the 6 wards out of the 10 electoral wards of Bassa local government area. The House also notes that on the 28th of November 2016, violence crisis erupted in Panche, in Ozongolo ward, in Bassa Komu district of the local government area, which disrupted the peace and harmony between the two districts and consequently led to the destruction of lives and property, a development that has aggravated the magnitude of suspicion, hatred and teasing among the communities. Cognizant that so much can be done by the government to ameliorate the situation that has resulted into confusion, fear, frustration, and agony with a view to averting a recurrence of this incident. The House resolves to urge the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to embark on an on-the-spot assessment of the area in order to ascertain the level of destruction and provide relief materials and to aid those who lost their houses and other property during this crisis. The House mandates the Committee on Emergency and Disaster Preparedness to ensure implementation. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I so move.
Honorable TJ.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable colleagues, I'm Yusuf Ahmed Tijani. I represent Okene Ogomagogo Federal Constituency. I rise to second the motion as moved by Benjamin, colleague. I so second.
So, Honorable Benjamin, 2 minutes.
Thank you so very kindly, Mr. Speaker. Highly respected colleagues, the motion is very explicit and self-explanatory. It's a motion that is simply addressing a conflict that erupted in Panche community in Ozongolo ward of Basa, local government, about 14 months ago. Basa local government consists of 3 ethnic groups: the Basa Komus, the Basanges, and the Miras. But with particular reference to this crisis, the crisis was between Basa Komus and the Mira. Hence, the conflict was given an intertribal coloration. However, this conflict was unnecessary, as at the time it occurred, it was a crisis that was avoidable, but at the beginning of it, it was not well managed by the leaders of these 2 tribes. It was a conflict that broke out during the burial ceremony, and it led to the death of a Basa Komu man. The reprisal attack that ensued was so intense that a lot of lives were lost, properties destroyed, and a lot of families have been displaced. Up to this day, as I speak, some families have not found succor to return to their homes. For instance, there are families who are stranded at Chikara in Abaji here. A lot of families are also stranded at Umuacha in Toto, local government of Nasarawa, and some are stranded at Anyiba in the Kina local government. Although, as I speak, relative peace has been restored, but suspicions are still rife among these people, because people still bear grudges against their neighbors, knowing that they were responsible for the destruction of their properties. It is in view of this that I'm seeking the immediate and prompt intervention of NEMA, because such intervention will go a long way to soothe or pacify these angry people. Mr. Speaker, having said this, I want to urge my colleagues and seek your indulgence to support this motion to skate through, as it will go a long way to restore peace in this society, in these communities that has been so battered and destroyed as a result of this avoidable conflict. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Any contributor to the debate? Otherwise, I'll put the question. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Fourth order of the day is a motion on need to investigate the illegal withdrawal of the sum of 10 billion from the Insured Persons Fund of the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS, standing in the name of Honorable Chike Okafu. Honorable Okafu is now invited to move the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am Honorable Chike John Okafor, representing Ehimembano, the Tubo Mahubo Federal Constituency. I'm from Imo State. Mr. Speaker, colleagues arise to move that they need to investigate the illegal withdrawal of the sum of 10 billion naira from the Insured Persons Fund of National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS. The House notes that National Health Insurance Scheme, the NHIS, was established under the National Health Insurance Scheme, ACAP number 42, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria, 2004, with the objectives of ensuring that every Nigerian has access to good healthcare services and to protect families from financial hardship of medical bills. Also notes that for the purpose of carrying out the mandate of the scheme, a fund made up of 5% contribution by each insured person is maintained with the Central Bank of Nigeria under the Treasury Single Account TSA policy for the administration of the scheme. Aware that withdrawal of monies from such designated accounts under the Treasury Single Account TSA at the Central Bank of Nigeria by any government agency is based on the request of the Chief Accounting Officer of the agency. Also aware that a recent oversight inspection of the agency by my committee, Healthcare Services, revealed that 2 suspicious withdrawals of 5 billion naira each, totaling 10 billion, were made from the short persons funds account with the Central Bank of Nigeria on 28th of December 2016 and 11th January 2018, respectively, when the Executive Secretary of the scheme was under suspension. Again, aware that upon inquiry, the Executive Secretary informed the committee that neither him or any staff of the agency made any request for either of the 2 withdrawals, stating that the withdrawals were authorized by the Honorable Minister of Finance without the input of the agency and in contravention of the laws and regulations governing such actions. Cognizant that such practices, if not checked, will erode public and international confidence in the scheme and make a mockery of the anti-corruption stance of the present government. The House is invited to resolve, 1, to mandate the Committee on Healthcare Services and the House Committee on EFCC to investigate the withdrawal of the 10 billion from the account of National Health Insurance Scheme and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. And finally, okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, no move.
Who has a point of order? Honorable Babale.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Babale Bashir. I'm from Kano State. Mr. Speaker, I'm coming under Order 18B. Functions are committees of the House, establishment, and jurisdictions. Mr. Speaker, I feel as chairman, House Committee on Health Services, we don't need to present this motion to the floor of the House today. Why? Because it is indicated indeed in standing order of this House that it is the function and responsibility of this committee to oversight NHIS. So I think if there are issues in NHIS, the chairman of that committee doesn't need to come back to the House, ask the House to give him mandate to investigate or to conduct his responsibility. So I feel, Mr. Speaker, he doesn't need to present it to the floor of the House because it is his sole responsibility. The House has already mandated him to carry out this responsibility. That is my point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Well, Honorable Babale may be right in the sense that it is the routine responsibility of the committee to oversight all these activities, but in a situation whereby the committee requires to conduct a holistic investigation and to summon witnesses, you will have to have an approval of the House to be able to invite all the witnesses that they need in line with the provisions, the relevant section of the Constitution. And if you remember very well, in the last House, the minister was summoned to this National Assembly, and she took the National Assembly to court. And the court clearly stated that she was not compellable in the sense that it was not an investigation authorized and published in the official gazette of the National Assembly as required by the provision of the Constitution. And so the ruling was that the minister could not come. So if they require to invite witnesses and for them to compel those witnesses, they will require a resolution of the House which is published in the official gazette to be able to achieve that. So you write that routinely is their responsibility, but if there's an extraordinary event, then they will have to come to the floor for a resolution that will be published in the official gazette of the House for them to do that. So both are right. That's my ruling. So now is secondment. Okay, Honorable Obina, second.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues. My name is Obinna Chidoka, representing the Idemili North, Idemili South Federal Constituency of Anambra State. I rise this afternoon to second the motion as ably moved by Honorable Chike Okafor. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues.
So, Honorable Chike, please lead the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, very distinguished colleagues, for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to look at the laws of our land, the Constitution, Section 80 of the National Constitution as amended, subsection 3 and subsection 4 spells out clearly when and how monies ought to be withdrawn from any account of government. Section 3, subsection 3 of section 80, I read, no money shall be withdrawn from any public fund of the Federation other than the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation unless the issue of those monies has been authorized by an act of National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, subsection 4 goes further to state that no monies shall be withdrawn from the Consolidated Revenue Account Fund or any other public fund of the Federation except in the manner prescribed by National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, just like observed in the body of the motion, these two withdrawals were made from the account of National Health Insurance at the TSA account CBN without any act of this parliament. The first 5 billion naira that was withdrawn in 2016 was not part of their budget for 2016. The last 5 billion that was withdrawn in January 2017 also was not contained in the Appropriation Act passed by this National Assembly. And what makes it more disturbing is the fact that the Chief Accounting Officer of the agency, the Civil Secretary, or any of his staff is not aware. And they hardly knew until we found out and then asked. Now we had to even invite him to come and tell us what he knows about it. And what he told us was that he saw the debits alert on his phone. And he had approached the Accounting Federation, and what he told him was that they needed money and also they had to take money. But now we can see from the Constitution that it was not the right thing to do. So, Mr. Speaker, I only had to bring it here because the investigation is going to go beyond the agency that we're oversighting. Because the Minister of Finance and Minister of Finance have been mentioned. The CBN, who is the banker to the agency, has also been mentioned. Just like if you have an account with the end of commercial banks, you have your mandate. They ought not to allow money to be taken from your account if you do not put your signature on paper. But these two withdrawals were made from the account of the agency with CBN without recourse to those whose mandate it is to do so. So I want to urge this Honorable House to please look at the fact that National Health Insurance is not a revenue generating agency of the federal government. It's a fund. The monies they have with their managing are deductions from poor worker salaries. And they ought to manage it and use it to cater for the health of these insured persons. So it is not right and it is wrong for anybody to go to take monies from the account without recourse to them. So I want to urge this Honorable House to treat this as very important, and it's also going to go a step further to let the whole world and the country in particular to know that this 8th Assembly House of Representatives is supporting the anti-corruption crusade of this government. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I so move.
Honorable Osai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Distinguished honorable colleagues, I rise to support the motion heavily moved by the chairman and head services. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, these days probably corruption have developed many wings. Why I say that corruption have developed many wings in the fact that a department or a ministry of a government can transfer money out from an agency without the authorization of that agency is something that corruptions have developed wings.
Mr. Chairman, why this motion is necessary. Just based on what we have ruled on issues of compelling, this motion is going beyond one agency or department of government. This motion entails to define where that corruption is rooted. Mr. Speaker, you will recall that at the time this House intervened on obstruction, when the secretary, executive secretary of that agency was suspended. And through that, the course of that suspension, money was taken from agency. That means that suspension was not done in good faith to start with. That means that ministry that suspended the executive secretary has an intention to defraud the agency. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleague, because you see, you have to put these two together. First of all, the executive secretary was suspended. Secondly, money was taken from the same agency. At the same time, the executive secretary was suspended. Is it not too suspicious? It is on that ground that this House have to even develop heavy, sanction when it comes to that effect. This House has to back this motion, because this motion is necessary at this particular point in time. What's the essence of section 88 and 89? Is to expose corruption. And this motion intends to expose some activities that has happened because a man was suspended, so that such agencies can be also, money from that agency, domicile in that agency, can be removed. That shows that the House Committee on Health Services is doing its work. And the House, in its wisdom, should support the committee to undergo highly scrutiny of certain agencies that are involved in these issues. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable colleagues, on this ground, Mr. Speaker, I wholeheartedly support the mover of this motion, and with all his submission, adopt them as if they were mine, without any exception. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
We are on this row, Honorable Chika, then Abunta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues. I remain Abubakar Chika Adamu. I represent Shiroro Rafimuyan Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I am from Niger State. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I think the action taken on the issue of the removal of 10 billion at 55 billion from the National Health Insurance Scheme is a worse scenario that the common man's fund is being embezzled every day and is about to be denied the basic health services he required and the Constitution guaranteed to provide for him. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, this action is worse than using AK-47 to kill a person, because this is somebody who believes that I have provided my contribution to a health scheme, and I will wake up one day and they will tell me I don't have a kobo that can fund the situation or the health situation I found myself. Mr. Speaker, as Honorable Osai did say, the corruption has taken a different dimension, where few, whether they are called cabals or let me use few criminals, use their position to ensure they check out somebody or put him aside to perpetrate, and then allow themselves to have a free way to perpetrate corruption and then go free, believing that the person that is occupying that seat probably will not agree with the current position that they were about taking. So, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I believe AK-47 is working within the government cycle to kill those who are honest, so that the criminals will be able to go with the loot. So we should frown at this, we should condemn this, and I think this is the time to fight. Assuming we'll put ourselves in the position of the common man, the common worker, who every month his money is being deducted, put into a sinking fund, and then tomorrow somebody will steal that money and there will be zero balance in that account, and then he has health challenges or his family have health challenges and cannot be funded. I think by doing that, you are even teaching the common man to be more corrupt than he is. Because that is what happened, and that is what brought corruption even in the public service. Where one is no guarantee of his future, then you will have problem in the way we run the public service. So, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I think this motion needs speedy action. In fact, Mr. Chairman, the Chairman of Health Services, I think 4 weeks to me is even too long, because we can't wait for this period. We can't wait to unveil this criminal act. I think it is now that we must do something. It is now that we must face action of this magnitude squarely. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues.
Honorable Toby. No, I recognize Abonta because you were not on your seat. So, Honorable Abonta, please. No, you are one of the leaders, so you are covered. Honorable Toby, please take your seat. I had said after this thing will be Abonta. So, Honorable Abonta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Uzoma Kim Abonta. I represent Okwa Federal Constituency, Mr. Speaker, from Abia State. Mr. Speaker, let me join others who spoke to thank Honorable Chike Okafor, the chairman of the committee, for giving it very, very fit and having the courage enough to expose what seemingly look like corruption. Mr. Speaker, from all the debates and what we've been seeing in recent times, we have seen that according to our side, that corruption has grown wings, not just wings, there has been a geometrical progression of corruption in recent times. The body of the motion, he said that this happened in 2016 and again January 2018. These sums of money were withdrawn in the TSA account, single treasury account, that was meant to preserve, conserve, and check leakages. One begins to wonder whether we use TSA to accumulate for easy cutaway of such funds. I should dare say, Mr. Speaker, in supporting this motion, that the House must be able to expose these corruptions. The House should give all the necessary support to see that leakages are blocked and effectively blocked. In this very one, the bankers bank are involved, CBN, where the money supposedly is being kept. In this also matter, we are being told that to give way to perpetrate this, people were removed from office. Mr. Speaker, I think this is grievous. I look at the prayers, is asking that the committee on corruption to investigate that. We don't have such. I think he meant the Economic and Financial Crimes Committee. I will therefore say that even 4 weeks they are asking for appears unnecessarily too long. The matter had been narrowed down that money was withdrawn without authority. Being investigative, I do not think we'll spend more time because they are going to look for authority to withdraw. They are not looking for the money. They know who took and they know where they took from. Just that they did not take from with authority. So what they are going to look for is very simple. I want to support that the EFCC committee and the committee on the main committee should do this and report back to the House within 2 weeks. Mr. Speaker, may I make so bold to also say that once they have the mandate, once they have the referral to do that, that they should summon the necessary persons immediately. May I use the opportunity to say and remind us that we may be losing our steam. We may be losing what we have. We may be losing our constitutional guaranteed role, which we swore to, if we do not act now. If you look at the utterances coming from the executives, particularly the ministers and also what, it looks like as if we are merely backing but cannot bite. But we are now to expose corruption. Mr. Speaker, I think that that committee, when set up, when agreed, should be given the necessary opportunities to act. But let us limit. I want to amend that they do not need 4 weeks. Let's give them 14 working days. It should be sufficient and sufficient enough to do this. And they have the power to summon all the necessary parties they need with speed of light, that we may expose corruption and let Nigerians know who are the friends of Nigeria and who are those causing the problem. I think until we do this and do it very, very fast and transparently, we may be doing a circle, a vicious circle. Corruption, while corruption is thriving, we should not put the fertilizer to allow corruption to grow on. We should do everything that will kill corruption. I so support the motion, Mr. Speaker.
Noble Toby. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Toby Okechukwu. I represent an area of Wetiriba Federal Constituency from Enugu State. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support that this investigation of the illegal withdrawal of 10 billion naira from the insured persons Fund of National Health Insurance Scheme should be undertaken, and expeditiously so. Insured persons, this is money deducted from people and held in trust. It's not subject to discretion or whims and caprices of anybody. But what is clear from the chairman of the committee, who was responsibly carrying out his duty as enshrined in the Constitution 1881, that we should oversight those issues for which we make law. And in undertaking that responsibility, there was a discovery of unauthorized withdrawal. He is saying unauthorized withdrawal of 10 billion. But nobody as at the moment knows the purpose for which that 10 billion had been used for. Because the DG of the agency was under suspension. May that have been the reason for his suspension. The man gave way for suspension, suddenly 10 billion was withdrawn without any request from that agency. Mr. Speaker, if it is coincident, this is quite very coincidental. It's too scientific to be coincidence. Then it reads that, again aware upon inquiry, the executive secretary informed the committee that neither him or any staff of the agency made any request for either of the two withdrawals, stating that the withdrawals were authorized by the Honorable Minister of Finance without the input of the agency and in contravention of laws and regulations governing such actions. It's very clear, Mr. Speaker. We do not know that the Honorable Minister of Finance now has responsibility to dispense insured funds, people's contributions. Mr. Speaker, you must remember that there was Guando and SEC, Security and Exchange Commission 1 per SEC.
The man had to dispense to the DG had to be dispensed with. Then Odo had to go some topsy-turvy situations before investigation. Mr. Speaker, this is a country that's run by laws. It's not run by the rule of man. And no matter how powerful a minister is, you have no capacity under the law whatsoever to go and withdraw money without the agency requesting for it. And let us be sure that after this, and that is why we have to investigate it, that after this kind of cascading, this kind of arbitrary action that is taking place in this government, it has to be put to a stop. And it has to be thoroughly investigated. Because so many whims and caprices are being drawn up. People acting outside the law. We have to put a stop to this. We don't want any Christmas surprise or any post-election surprise. Suddenly, oh, we are dispensing money illegally and nobody finds out. So the committee must investigate, but they must return because they have made some very clear facts found. You must return your report in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much.
Honorable Sadiq. Mr. Speaker, thank you so very much. My honorable colleagues, my name is Sadiq Ibrahim. I represent Fufore Sub-Federal Constituency. I'm from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, the information contained in this motion is a very, very important piece of information that we need to know. And we need to understand one thing. Monies of National Health Insurance Scheme is not government money. These are monies deducted from salaries earned, 5% of basic salary of people working in government and in the organized private sector. Therefore, that money is not government money. This is a sum of money that is forcefully deducted from your own salary and kept for you to enjoy health with your 4 children. And the intention is that that money will continue to be there until you are retirement, which we know is 65 years of service or 65 years of service or 65 years of age or 35 years of service, whichever is earlier. In other words, Mr. Speaker, this money is money belonging to orphans. And any society that consumes the wealth of orphans is doomed. This money is not government money. There is nobody, no minister that is empowered by any law to touch that money. Because that money is supposed to be put in an investable account. It should yield interest so that when a contributor dies, because every contributor in Nigeria, by the LHSF law, need to be given a passbook. So that from your accounts department, in the salaries department, if they deduct your 5%, they should put it in your own passbook. And then the interest generated thus far. Therefore, just by opening your own passbook, every worker should be able to know how much he has contributed and how much interest has been generated on that account. Therefore, this is money he would keep so that when he dies, the orphans can also contribute. Because the intention is that if you retire and you're 65, our own life expectancy in Nigeria is 570. Therefore, this money is orphans' money, invariably. And it ought to generate interest. If it is put in TSA, TSA cannot generate interest. And for somebody to now debit that account without authority, I think it is not only theft, but it is the consumption of the assets of orphans, which is a sin. It is not only a crime, but a sin. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, the need to investigate this issue is not only just for us to satisfy ourselves that the right thing has been done. It is even to satisfy God that we are not consuming funds belonging to orphans. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Pajok. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues. Mr. Speaker, my name is Edward Pajok. I represent the South, the East. Mr. Speaker, beyond just investigating the withdrawal of those funds, we have been told in the motion that the
Minister of Finance that caused that withdrawal to be done. But Mr. Speaker, reading through the enabling law, it is the Minister of Health that has supervisory authority over that agency. How come it's the Minister of Finance that will now cause a withdrawal of funds from that agency? Mr. Speaker, let me also add to what Honorable Sadiq said by quoting Section 5 of the NHIS law, because they are doing a very, very important assignment for Nigerians. Mr. Speaker, almost each day we complain about the plight of Nigerians who cannot afford healthcare services. But Mr. Speaker, in Section 5A of the Act, it says the NHIS shall ensure that every Nigerian has access to good healthcare services. B, protect families from the financial hardship of huge medical bills. C, limit the rise of healthcare services. Mr. Speaker, this is a very laudable law of this parliament, meant to ensure that all the huge bills that Nigerians are paying are being mitigated. But today, we are being told, and I must commend our colleague, the chairman of the services, that instead of mitigating the hardship of Nigerians, a whopping 10 billion naira, not 10 million, 10 billion naira was withdrawn twice from that account. So there are so many other questions. How many billions or trillions are in that account? Why should that money just be lying fallow instead of treating many Nigerians who are dying daily because they are not being treated from healthcare services? So, Mr. Speaker, I propose that in addition to us doing this general investigation, we have to invite, one, the Minister of Finance, who made that withdrawal, to tell us her authority for giving that order. And the CBN, because I've been told that the money is under TSA. How come the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria authorized that withdrawal? Also, the Accountant General of the Federation must explain how come he authorized that withdrawal of that fund. This must be explicitly done. And Mr. Speaker, let me further advise that, yes, some of us are saying, let's give them 2 weeks. But let us make haste slowly. To me, let us leave the 4 weeks, because like welfare of Nigerians, what are we doing here in Parliament? Mr. Speaker, we need to commend the proactiveness and vigilance of the chairman of the Health Service Committee and all the other members, and it shows that actually Parliament is working. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable MS Abdul.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remain Honorable Dr. MS Abdul, Al-Kadirikir Federal Conference. I'm from Bauchi State. Mr. Speaker, I am also lending my voice to strengthening this investigation, predicating it on the fact that, sir, you graciously raised up a special committee that investigated the Burma Initiative, which also was on the same kind of unauthorized transfers and withdrawals of public funds that have been legally appropriated for a particular and specific activities that will impinge on the lives and welfare of the downtrodden Nigerians. Sir, we know what we discovered, and we knew that that money is about 18 billion that were legally transferred into different banks, and 5 billion was taken away from the Presidential Committee on the Northeast Initiative, was returned with apology. And now again, we are seeing similar activity taking place in the NHIS. So my worry is that it only means these are just the tips of the iceberg. These are just indicators. And this question the legality of the operations of the TSA. Why do I say so, sir? I want to explain here. Our Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Section 128, subsection 2, A and B. In fact, it says, sir, with your permission, that the powers conferred on the Houses of Assembly under the provisions of this section are exercisable only for the purpose of enabling the House to A. Make laws with respect to any matter within its legislative competence and correct any defects in the existing laws. So I hope we will actually correct the defects in the existing law, and I'm talking about the presidential executive order that brought the issue of TSA, and now we are seeing a lot of serious abuses in the system. PISA, it says expose corruption, inefficiency, waste in the execution or administration of laws within its legislative competence and in the disbursement or administration of funds appropriated to it. So, sir, I am saying that besides this specific prayer brought up by an ordinary oversighting function of our very erstwhile Committee on Health Services, I think our Public Accounts Committee needs to stand up and do something very serious about it. Because if we have brought all other funds into a single treasury account, which means now is a swell up big pool of funds, and they are supposed to be taking it legally for particular and specific uses. And now we see government officials who are trusted to guard, safeguard, and manage these funds are abusing it. It only means, sir, the chicken has come back to roost. If we are accusing anybody before of inappropriation, we also need to check ourselves. That is the truth. Which means he who goes to equity must go with clean hands. And we need to clean it up now. So I want us to check this. We have seen it on the Burma Initiative. We are now seeing it in the NHS. God knows what is happening all over. When government needs money, the impunity will just come in that, hey, Minister of Finance, hey, Accountant General, look in what to use ways and means to get it and solve certain, expediency of the moment without following the rules and even taking something that belongs to somebody. I think it's serious, sir. And I am trying to propose that after the thorough investigation, we need to go deeper, not only the issue of invitation of the principal actors, but our public accounts need to do something, and we need to correct the existing defects in the executive order that give rise to the TSA so that the right things are being done all the time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Ogene. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for yielding the floor to me. My name is Honorable Ogene Ego, and I represent the very good people of Amod of the Federal Constituency in Lagos State. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the mover of this motion for having the best eye that was able to detect that 10 billion naira was taken away from the National Health Insurance Scheme. Mr. Speaker, I would not have been so worried about this issue if this money had been government money. Unfortunately, this money belongs to the people. It's not government money. Some of us here, while we were working, we were contributing money to the National Health Insurance Scheme. A lot of Nigerians are contributing money. Some of them are retired, they are waiting to be paid their money. They will put the application, they will say there's no money to pay. Several workers who have been having money deducted from their salary on a monthly basis. Some of them who are sick, some employed people who are sick, who need to go to hospital through this National Health Insurance Scheme. Most of them cannot access funds because there's no money. Meanwhile, a government official, as we have been informed, who is being maintained at taxpayers' money, is siphonning this money away. 10 billion of the people's money is taken away. This is not talking about somebody stealing government budgeted money. No! Money contributed by Nigerians of all walks of life is what we are talking about. And this House is here to defend the interests of Nigerians. I want to say, Mr. Speaker, that this should be investigated, and if we find that it's correct, it is a despicable action, and certain things must be done to teach other people in the government
a lesson that you cannot just play with people's money. Even government money, you cannot play with it. We're not talking about teachers, people's money. I think we should invite the FCC to come into this issue also, to help us investigation. Let us see the approving authority. Why should the people's money be taken just like that? I want to appeal to all my colleagues to support this motion, because supporting this means staying on the side of the people. And I want to say, as an elected member of this House, I want to stay on the side of the people. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Namdas.
Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, my name is Abdurazak Namdas. I represent the people of Genye, Jada, Tongoma, Ebelwa. I'm from Adamawa State. Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues to support the mover of this motion. I would not like to bore us with what has already been said, but I just have two points I want to raise. One, Mr. Speaker, money such as the NIS that is a contributing money should not be idled. I think it is very important, because that money is idle that some public officers became tempted and started touching the money. I think such money should have been used as bonds to service other things, so that they can get certain, instead of going to be taking loans outside the country and to create more interest for the country, we can use such money to execute certain projects within the country, and actually we can use it through bonds, raise it through bonds, which we can get some money part of it, and there will be interest even for those that have deposited the money. And another area I want to mention is that the mere fact that during an oversight function, that the executive secretary said the money was authorized by the Minister of Finance. Honorable colleagues, I just want us to conclude the matter here. Since it is going to be an investigation, we will also get to hear the side of the Honorable Minister, because only God knows whether it is true that such money was not authorized by any official of the agency. That can only be satisfied when an investigation is carried on. So the mere fact that somebody alleges that X was responsible or authorized the withdrawal, we cannot just conclude that such person actually did. But what is very factual is that withdrawals took place, and to the tune of 10 billion naira. That is a fact. But who was responsible is the issue at stake. So it is only investigation that will actually bring out who was responsible, who ordered for it. But because somebody said it is a minister, we cannot just conclude. And that is why I agree that this investigation should be carried on. We will be shocked that more revelations will come forth, because this is an allegation and it will come. But the fact has been established that withdrawals of people's money to the tune of 10 billion took place. I think I support that the investigation to take place. That will be the only way that it will unravel the misery as to who was responsible for that. I so support the motion, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Henry will be the last contributor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Henry Daniel Ofongo is my name. I represent Southern Ijaw Federal Constituency of Bayelsa State. Mr. Speaker, let me join others in thanking the mover of this motion. This is a real whistle that has been blown. I would say it is even bigger than a whistle, it's a trumpet. Before people hear that people embezzle government money, I think this is a case where now we are seeing people's money being taken by government officials. In whichever reason, whatever investigation we want to do, Mr. Speaker, it is clear, as stated in the motion, that it was during a recent oversight inspection that the committee discovered that this money was removed. Even if investigation is going to take place, I know, just like Honorable Toby said, that definitely the committee during its oversight function, if they had not found out this thing, of course, because there is question and answers. That was why the missing funds, the unauthorized withdrawal of these funds was exposed. So, Mr. Speaker, whatever reason that wants to be given, it has been stated here clearly too by the Executive Secretary of the agency that no official of the agency applied. Neither did they even say the officials should apply. None of them applied. This money was authorized by the Minister of Finance. So, Mr. Speaker, what I want to say is that no matter how it goes, I think if this investigation is going to be made, Mr. Speaker, this Minister of Finance must be called to question on what authority she authorized the withdrawal of these funds, because I believe even if there would have been any reason, it would have been basically on health reasons. But if none of the officials in the health agency applied for it, then for what purpose is it removed? So I want it to be that proper investigation should be taken to know the main reason for the withdrawal of this money. It is not just enough to say that money has been withdrawn and it should be returned. Let us know the real reason why this money is withdrawn. Because people are really suffering, hospitals are ill-equipped, people cannot pay medical bills, and the essence of this contribution is to ensure that people have good medical care with less expenses. But it has been discovered now that the people's money has been taken. If it were me, let it happen like it happens in other climes, that the person who authorized, the Minister of Finance who authorized the withdrawal of this money should have been invited already by the security agencies before even the investigation starts. Because if it is in other climes, it is not under the purview of the Minister of Finance to withdraw this money from the Ministry of Health. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that a thorough investigation has to be made, particularly with respect to the reason for the withdrawal, so that we will now know that people are suffering and their money is being used for some other purpose. Thank you.
So I'll put the question. Oh no, there are amendments here from faces from Honorable Johnson Oguma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And my distinguished colleagues, I am Honorable Johnson Oguma. I represent the people of Isako Federal Constituency. My amendment, Mr. Speaker, is since the motion borders on billions of money and the Minister of Finance is referred to, I am proposing an amendment motion that on the prayers that the House resolve to mandate the committees on health services, finance and anti-corruption to investigate the withdrawal of 10 billion from the account of the National Health Insurance Scheme and report back within 4 weeks for legislative action. That's what Mr. Speaker.
Any seconder? No seconder? Honorable Namobi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, my very distinguished colleagues. My name is Uche Namobi, and I represent the good people of Bahado West and Oba Ebemendoni Federal Constituency. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by my colleague. Amendment.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Oh, there are just 2 men. I'll put the question again. Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable Dambaram Nuhu, yes, later. Your amendment is overtaken by events. Honorable Uzoma Nkema Bonta, or you had your own amendment too, is overtaken by events. And I'll see the reason why you are saying nay. Honorable Edward Bajok, is your amendment covered?
No, it's partly, but mine is there are 2 prayers, and it's also more encompassing.
Sir, my own is an additional prayer that while this specific investigation is taking place, I'm also urging the House, pursuant to Section 128(2)(a)(b) 1B of the Constitution to instruct the Public Accounts Committee to thoroughly investigate and also correct the operations of the TSA system so that we can correct the defects in the system and our laws for future operations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Public accounts and TSA. I don't know what's the correlation between the two. Public accounts deals with just queries. If there are no audit queries, it appears that they won't have jurisdiction to proceed.
Sir, any relevant committee, if you can come, because the point here is that we have seen, since the operation of the TSA started, we have seen some impunity taking place within the TSA system. Because those who have been entrusted with the operations of TSA now start dipping their hands and transferring money without warrants and without proper authorization. And I think it only means that they are using the opportunity because the money is with them. If it were resided with the relevant agencies it were before, this thing wouldn't have taken place. So I think there is something very important they need to look into. If it is not public accounts, then the relevant committee can look at it, and you have more knowledge than me to recommend that. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I think it's the Committee on Finance. Yeah, Committee on Finance. So instead of public accounts, he's substituting it with finance. Rules and business, are you protesting that finance is not in charge of TSA?
No, Mr. Speaker, I'm of the feeling that if we want to look into the issue of TSA, let it come as a substantive motion on the floor, and we look into it and arrive at this kind of resolution rather than bringing it as an amendment here when we are dealing with NHIS. I think it will make more sense so that we really look into what is happening there.
Okay, I think it's right in order because we're talking about it.
I'm representing the Juleki Federal Constituency. I'm from Lagos State. Motion on urgent need to ensure that all eligible voters are registered and issued with permanent voters card, if you see. Mr. Speaker, my honorable colleagues, the House notes that in the preparation toward the 2019 general election, the Independent National Election Commission, INEC, is carrying out continuous voter registration all over the country to enable eligible voters register and collect their permanent voters card. The House is aware that many Nigerians who have attained the age of 18 years or more have presented themselves at various registration centers and Independent National Electoral Commission in different parts of the country, but have neither been registered nor issued with permanent voters card. The House is also aware that the Independent National Electoral Commission has been not able to effect the transfer of many persons from places where they were originally registered and given voters card to their current places of residence, despite they are having the necessary requirement. The House is concerned that if the Independent National Electoral Commission does not intensify its efforts and correct all the inadequacies and lapses in the ongoing continuous registration of voters, many Nigerians will be defranchised during the 2019 general election. Concerned that one of the ways of making the 2019 general election credible is by allowing eligible voters to register and vote in the election, thereby enhancing the stability and growth of Nigeria's democracy. The House therefore resolved to urge the Independent National Electoral Commission to adopt all necessary measures to ensure that all eligible voters are registered and issued with permanent voters card without further delay. Also, mandate the committee